everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm excited to share with you 7 really effective tips and strategies for having optimal digestion. If you're new to this channel, my name is Tumi. I'm a medical doctor and a dancer, and I love making videos around holistic natural health and minimalism, raw veganism, and plant-based living, and just sharing with you my lifestyle. If any of that is of interest to you, then consider subscribing down below and click the notifications bell next to it to be told when I put out a new video. So let's dive right in. I think about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I did a live Q&A on my Facebook group. And if you're interested in the Facebook group, I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. But somebody asked me a question that I've been really excited to make a video response to about how to optimize digestion. And so I want to make a disclaimer. This is general strategies for general digestive issues, meaning things like gassiness and bloating, feeling just in general like your digestion is off. In terms of really specific issues like SIBO, IBS, inflammatory bowel disease such as Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, I really love to work with my patients and clients individually. And I'll be sharing with you how to reach out to me if you're interested in that later on in the video. But if you just feel like your digestion is off, if you're feeling gassy, constipated, bloating, these tips I think will be amazing for you, and I hope they are. Let me know if they resonate with you in the comments below. So the first one is one that might seem a little strange, but I think it's vital, and I've seen it make a huge difference in the lives of my patients and clients. And that is to figure out and look at and heal what's eating you. So our digestion is so connected to our brain and our emotional health. And I've worked with so many people who seem to be eating the perfect diet, and yet their digestion is just not right. And when we look at their emotional well-being, we actually see that there are issues around that. So whether it's depression or anxiety is a really big one. Just an elevated level of stress or not feeling centered. And so I really encourage, I write about this in my book, I talk about this in my webinars and with my patients, to look at what is eating you. If something in your life isn't working for you, if there's relationship distress, if there's work distress, and I mean mental and emotional distress, really try to look at your situation and your emotions around that and try to heal that. I write about how to do so in my book. There are many resources out there about emotional well-being, but I just want to talk about the link between that and digestion. It's huge. There's so many serotonin receptors in our gut, and serotonin, if you're not familiar, is an incredibly important hormone for mood and a feeling of mental well-being. So there's a huge connection between gut brain and gut and mood, and really addressing your emotional health will help incredibly with your digestion. The second tip I have is definitely around what you're eating. And I've been raw vegan for 8 years. I really, really strongly believe in the healing benefits of a plant-based, even if you're not doing a totally plant foods diet, at least a heavily, predominantly plant foods diet is so healing. The data shows it, the science backs it up, from everything from things like cardiac disease to diabetes, and definitely colon health, colon cancer. There are a lot of studies around increased plant fiber and plant foods in helping prevent the progression of colon cancer. I'll leave some links in the description box down below for you to look at. So why plant-based foods? Well, one of the things I love to share is that you can't get fiber from any other food group but plants. And fiber helps so much in terms of the digestion. Fiber is a prebiotic, and that is basically wonderful food for the good bacteria in our intestines. So it helps to nurture a healthy gut microbiome, which helps incredibly with good digestion. Plant foods are also, most of the time, if you're eating whole plant foods, high in antioxidants, which a lot of times come with anti-inflammatory properties that help to calm any digestive distress and inflammation. And plant foods, a lot of them, whole foods, are a lot of times are quite water rich, especially when you think about fruits and vegetables. And water is really helpful for the digestive process. So, second tip is really upping your plant foods if you're not eating a lot of that, and really making sure your diet is predominantly whole, unprocessed plant foods. The third tip I have is how you're eating those plant foods, how you're eating your diet. And so the third thing is about respecting food combining, proper food combining. I've had people come to me and say, I would love to eat beans, but I get terrible gas or bloating, or I have an amazing salad and my body can't take it. And a lot of that has to do with how you're eating the food, how you're combining the food. I will leave a link to some resources down below, at least one resource down below on proper food combining. But I want to keep it simple for this video and say a few things around food combining that could be taking you off your game in terms of proper digestion. The first thing is I definitely recommend that fruit should be eaten either by itself or with tender leafy greens. And when you're eating the fruit, you want to in general have an empty stomach. Fruit digests very, very quickly, especially your high water fruits. And so if you try to eat fruit, as many people do, as dessert after a heavy meal, you will run into lots of gas and bloating. So fruit first, or by itself on an empty stomach, or in combination with tender greens. Melons and cucumbers, I really recommend, especially if you have an exquisitely sensitive digestion, to eat those foods alone by themselves. Melons and then also cucumbers. They're so water rich and they digest so quickly that they're really best eaten by themselves. And then we can get into different categories of fruits. But I think in general, what I would just say is, again, fruit by itself on an empty stomach or with greens. Again, I'll leave a link in the description below on maybe looking at things like acid fruits and subacid fruits and sweet fruits and how to combine them. I really recommend in general mono meals of fruits. So having one type of fruit, like a big bowl of grapes or a big bowl of strawberries or a huge watermelon, like I love eating, and having as much of that as you want to until you're full, as opposed to mixing lots of things like mangoes and bananas and grapes and pineapple all in a bowl. If you can do that and you feel good, go for it. But if you feel like you have a big fruit salad and you don't feel super good on that, then it might be a good idea to simplify and eat mono meals, or at least make sure you're eating the same types of fruits together and not different types of fruits. Again, check out the description box below. And then I'll also say about food combining that you really want to avoid fruits and other things apart from tender leafy greens. So fruits and fats, try to avoid. Fruits and legumes, definitely avoid, and definitely fruits and meats or other animal proteins. And then I will also say that in general, protein and starches, you want to avoid those two together. And instead, I recommend doing high protein foods with greens and vegetables, and starches with greens and vegetables or on their own. That's a general idea, but it's just to get you thinking about proper food combining and seeing how you can tweak the way you eat your meals and simplify your meals for optimal digestion. On my Instagram page, I'll leave that below, I always am posting about all the living plant foods I'm eating and enjoying. I love to make food to be delicious, but I'll be honest, most of the time I'm really eating very, very simply, and I feel my best on that, and my digestion feels its best that way. I also am spending a little bit of time on this because usually my digestion is amazing. And pregnancy has been really interesting because the couple of times in the past several years that I've had some digestive discomfort has been during pregnancy recently. And I wanted to share that with you. Pregnancy is one example in our lives where our digestion slows down, and the body is amazing. It does that on purpose so that we can assimilate and really take and absorb the minerals and vitamins in our foods. By slowing down the transit time of the food, we're able to absorb more. So it makes a lot of sense. But I'm used to quick digestion. And with slower digestion, I'm not able to get away with things like I used to. So before, I could have nuts with bananas together and feel fine. Now, with my diabetic patients, I definitely don't recommend that. Anybody with blood sugar issues, but I would do that once in a while. But I've noticed a few times I've had some serious digestive discomfort during pregnancy are times when my food combining is not right. For the example, fruit and nuts together. This is why I always say trail mix, the classic trail mix of fruits and nuts, usually not a good idea for most people. It's wonderful if you're trying to just get calories in and you're on a long trail, but I don't recommend combining those two things together. So I wanted to share that story with you just to give you a personal anecdote of what's been going on with me and why this subject, especially right now, is near and dear to my heart. Digestive discomfort can be painful, and I've experienced that. So I just send a lot of compassion and love out to all of you who are experiencing this, and try definitely some of these food combining suggestions to improve your digestion. The fourth tip I have, I cannot overemphasize enough, and that's mindful eating. I speak a lot about mindfulness on this channel because I believe presence and mindfulness to be a cornerstone for amazing health, and that includes digestive health. Mindful eating is about being present with your meal, and it's so helpful on so many practical levels. One, if you're mindful when you're eating, you're probably going to eat only when you're hungry. You're not going to eat when you're not hungry. And I think poor digestion can be linked many times to people eating when their body isn't ready to take in food. Mindful eating is also about slowing down. And when you take the time to chew your food properly, you optimize digestion, because digestion begins actually with the eyes. You start salivating, and then definitely with the mouth, in the mouth. So mindful eating, you slow down, you're chewing more, you optimize digestion. Mindful eating helps you know when you're full to stop eating, and that also will optimize digestion. There's also been studies that have linked mindfulness around eating to having an improved eating experience and digestion. So I really recommend, for all those reasons, being present with your meal, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, putting away all distractions, turning off screens, and really being with your meal with a sense of thankfulness and gratitude, and again, presence. Your digestion will improve. Number 5, if you choose to eat cooked beans and legumes, I highly recommend that you soak them. My sweetheart is a maestro with making delicious cooked legumes and cooked beans, and he always soaks the beans before he makes the food and eats them. And when he makes it for other people, people a lot of times will say how they feel good afterwards, as opposed to if you eat unsoaked beans, even if they're well cooked, beans, legumes have a capacity to protect the plant that results in bloating and gassiness if we don't get rid of these anti-nutrients that surround the seed. So for nuts and seeds, whether you eat them raw or cooked, I recommend soaking them. And definitely for your beans, legumes, soaking them for at least preferably 8 hours, throwing the water away, and then cooking them well. This will greatly decrease bloating and gassiness. The sixth tip I have is definitely around movement. So when we as physicians talk about the holy triumvirate of treating constipation, we talk about water. I've talked about water-rich foods, especially plants. We talk about fiber, which I talked about. The third thing is definitely movement, vigorous movement. moderate intensity aerobic movement every day, walking, running, dancing, playing with your children, climbing a tree, going for a swim, going for a hike. You do this for 30 minutes, you come back, your digestion will be so much better. So incorporating regular movement throughout your day will optimize digestion. If just for increased circulation, increased oxygenation, give that a try. And the seventh tip I would share is, if you try all these other tips, the 6 tips I mentioned, and you're still finding that it's just not as good as it could be, your digestion, I highly recommend partnering with a trusted health practitioner, somebody who understands diagnostic medicine, somebody who understands and honors the idea of looking at the underlying cause of issues, not just putting a band-aid on the problem. So find somebody in your area or remotely. I work all over the world with clients and patients, and I work remotely using Skype, using FaceTime, using online platforms to work with my patients and clients. So if you're interested in doing one-on-one work around healing your digestive issues, look for a trusted health practitioner to partner with, to get tested. Maybe it's IBD, maybe it's inflammatory bowel disease, maybe it's SIBO, small intestinal bowel overgrowth, maybe it's an issue with acid reflux, maybe it's parasitic or other infectious illnesses. Looking at the underlying cause through testing, through wonderful history taking by somebody who understands diagnostics, can make a world of difference and speed up your ability to understand what's going on with you and to start feeling better. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I will leave a link down below on how to set that up, and we can take it from there. So I think that's it for today. I hope that at least one of these tips and strategies was of help to you and resonated with you. If so, let me know which one down below you want to try to incorporate. I'm curious. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you like, share it with anyone who you think might benefit, and I'm sending you so much love as always. Take care.